step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in. And if you do not want to see me again, I would understand. I would understand.
Well, guys, I'm sure as you could tell by the intro, I'm not feeling too hot after the week 8 games are done being played. Oh my gosh. Well, we're going to talk about that team last because it's going to be the longest because it's my favorite team. I don't know why, but they are. Oh, well, we'll start off with our 1 o'clock slates, guys. We're going to talk about just kind of what happened. We're going to make it short and sweet today just because who wants to be sitting on their butt for a long time? We got things to do. I got things to do too. So we're going to make this short and sweet for you guys today. Miami, starting with the 1 o'clock games. Miami was at the Falcons. A bit of a shocker. Miami comes off 34-10. Well, I don't know what Mac McDaniel's got his guys to do in that background, but they came to play in Atlanta, and their offense looked pretty good. Tua played pretty good. He didn't really turn the ball over as he likes to do. Stats really didn't jump off the page. Just got to give credit to their defense, really. Their defense, which was terrible to start the first 6 weeks of the game, the season, and they really have been bouncing back a little bit, especially today, only letting up Atlanta with 10 points. But Kirk Cousins was their backup quarterback, even though they're paying him $40 million a year, the big year of 2025. Well, I was saying Miami needs to fire their head coach, and I still think ultimately that's a decision that is going to have to be made at the end of the season. But Atlanta, you beat the Bills, you beat the Commanders, and then you lose to the Dolphins. Then you lose to the 49ers. I don't know why people are saying that's a bad loss. The 49ers aren't the best team ever, but that's because of injuries. They're a well-coached team. They got good players. I don't think that's a bad loss. And then you lose also 30-0 to the Panthers. I don't know what to make of this team. I think that they have a ton of talent. Drake London was out this game, their best wide receiver. Either way, I actually would say their head coach is a big detriment. I think with their talent, they're 100% a playoff caliber team. A little bit embarrassing to see the lack of success if you're an Atlanta fan. We'll go real quick. We're going to go over some of the more cupcake games that, we talked about earlier in the week, and I'm not surprised by the result. Cleveland at New England, 32-13. Drake May, against the consensus number 1 defense through 8 weeks, looked pretty good. Not really a lot of complaints. Travion Henderson finally got some reps, 75 yards. Like to see that. But really, when your offense for the Cleveland Browns can't stay on the field for more than like 25, 30 plays in a game, doesn't really matter how good your defense is against a guy like Drake May, you're going to lose. Sure, everyone's saying Myles Garrett had 5 sacks, career high, crazy 5 sacks. I mean, we're just blowing over that 5 sacks. Dude, that's ridiculous. 5 sacks, pretty sure it's a franchise record. And, well, they lost, and he was sitting at the end of the bench. For those who don't remember, I think it was last year, he made this whole cryptic tweet. What was he doing? Cryptic whole essay being like, "Thank you, Cleveland, but my time has come. Money's not going to convince me." And then they gave him a ton of money, and he's like, "Okay, I guess I'll stay here." So hard to really feel bad for him. He made a choice, and well, he's living with the fact that he chose the Andrew Berry Cleveland Browns. Andrew Berry is the owner GM, if you guys weren't aware. Couple more cupcakes. Buffalo at Carolina, 40-9. Really don't have much to say about that game. Andy Dalton for Carolina because Bryce Young's hurt. I mean, you're just not going to win that game. James Cook had 216 rushing yards. Carolina has a long way to go. Buffalo took care of business on the road. You like to see that. 4 o'clock game, just teams that kind of took care of business. Denver put up 44 against Dallas. I mean, Dallas went to Denver. The defense only held Dallas to 24 points. I kind of was saying this is kind of what a lot of people were thinking, that Dallas was supposed to win this game, and I was baffled by that. I mean, I don't think Denver is an elite team by any means, but, I mean, going against that horrible of a defense, you should put up 44 points. So, for any Broncos fans out there, you actually got to be feeling pretty good about Bo Nix. He had a couple bad plays, but of course he does. I mean, Bo Nix is exactly who I thought they were. Both these teams are exactly who I thought they were. Nothing really changed. San Francisco at Houston, 26-15, San Francisco. C.J. Stroud actually looked a little bit better than normal, but honestly, I don't think anything really changed with what I knew about these two teams either. I mean, San Francisco can't win the ball if CMC is not part of the offense. He gets shut down. Well, he gets shut down. You only see 15 points. Also, Houston, wow, they got one of the best defenses in the league, but I also kind of knew that. I mean, I don't think anyone's surprised by this score. If you really watch either of these teams, it's pretty much what you expected. Tampa Bay at New Orleans, 23. Tampa, New Orleans 3. Again, nothing really that crazy. Baker didn't look all too great, but Tyler Shuck, we finally got to see some Tyler Shuck, their 40th pick in last year's draft for the Saints. Well, he kind of looked like Spencer Rattler B. I mean, really nothing that shocking happened in that game either. I mean, both these teams are kind of who I thought they were. Tampa, is kind of a gritty team. They kind of always played the caliber-ish to their opponent. They don't have like a definite, like, we're going to beat you by 30 points. It's kind of like, we're always going to be, it's going to be a close kind of weird game like that. And it was. Divisional opponent. You won on the road. You can't be too mad. New York played in Philadelphia. Philly won 38-20. Saquon finally had his kind of game that he's been looking for. I think he had 2 total touchdowns, almost 200 total scrimmage yards, but he did leave the game a little bit early, banged up. And, of course, everybody knows one of my favorite players in the league, Cam Scatterbo, most likely out for the season. He had to be carted off the field. Pretty nasty ankle injury. Ankle was twisted in the wrong direction. Gosh, New York cannot have anything nice. It is heartbreaking for that team. Ever since that happened in that game, all the momentum died. When you have a culture changer like that, just get a brutal injury on the road with a young team like New York and a pretty not great head coach, it's hard to bounce back in. Well, that's what you saw. And only a couple games here left. We got in Tennessee at Indianapolis, 38-14. Well, they took care of business. Jonathan Taylor, 153 yards. Another 3-touchdown game for him. Yep, I mean, both these teams are exactly who we thought they were. Colts still dominant. You can't stop the run. Well, you better as well just pack your bags because that game will become a loss for you. Colts still have the best record in football. Still loving the Colts and Indiana Jones. And then 2 more games except before we get into before we get into my pain and suffering. Green Bay Sunday night game was at Pittsburgh. Green Bay pretty much looked great from the start. Jordan Love, 360 yards. Tucker Kraft dominated. When Tucker Kraft gets involved, Packers offense looks great. I really think he is kind of that X factor. When he gets the ball a lot, they look good. But a little bit of tidbit storyline drama in that Packers organization. Matthew Golden deactivated all his Instagrams and everything after he had only 4 catches for a few yards or something. And so drama. Of course, the wide receiver they draft in the first round for the first time in decades. There's all this drama surrounding it. You know it is. It's the Packers. They just can't help themselves. Packers are always going to have some sort of drama. Pittsburgh, well, defense still needs to pick it up after last week. I mean, 30-plus points in the last 2 games. You're playing at home. You probably have a pretty motivated Aaron Rodgers, and your defense can't do anything. You're not going to win games. A lot of frustration in that Steelers organization. I really think that Mike Tomlin's time has come to an end. And it's not because Mike Tomlin's a bad coach. Do not get me wrong. I think Mike Tomlin is still a great coach, but there's a certain point in time where you need to it's a bad marriage. You know what you're going to do every year. Nothing's changing. He just needs a change. I think that he could definitely be successful somewhere else. But in that same sentiment, I see a lot of ex-Steelers players going, dude, this is literally the same defense we ran 15 years ago. This guy refuses to change. That's why Pittsburgh's kind of mediocre now. I don't want to speculate too much. Just some food for thought for you guys. Last night, Washington was on the road against Kansas City. Kansas City took care of business against an injured Washington team. No Jaden Daniels. McLaurin and Debo are banged up. I mean, the Commanders are a good team, but you're injury prone, along with the fact that you have that kind of that second year sophomore slump a lot of times. Rookie year, it's hard to find tape on your guy, especially with a new head coach. A lot of times you do see success early if you have, just a guy who is really good like Jaden Daniels. Washington is still a really great team, but they're just suffering from some injuries. And Kansas City, they're back on track. I mean, Mahomes had those 2 early picks, but in the second half, they dominated that game. I mean, pretty much the whole game they dominated. Kansas City is still the best team.
Hey, editing Jerry here. Forgot to mention about the Bears and Ravens game. Ravens ended up winning at home 30-16 off of a good defensive performance. And hey, Snoop Huntley, most people know him as Tyler Huntley, led 30 plus points, or 30 plus, 30 on the dot against a pretty solid Bears defense. Bears end up having that 4-game win streak come to an end, and Ravens are starting to pick up some steam. Watch out, guys. Lamar Jackson's coming back next week, so could see a little bit of a Ravens run. And for the Bears, it's the Bears. They were going to lose one, and it makes sense to lose one in Baltimore. It's a tough team nonetheless, but yeah, now you're going to hear me talk about my favorite team ever, guys.
And because we love talking about pain and suffering, now let's talk about the 39-38 loss against the Jets the Cincinnati Bengals had this weekend. That team was there was a desperate Jets team. And as a coach, you're supposed to understand these guys have nothing in a sense to play for except for their pride. And pride is one hell of a thing to play for when you're beat to shit, especially in New York, where everything is under a microscope that much more. You have to put down the hammer and shut them down. You have to kick them when they're down. It might sound a little bit brutal, but that's what you have to do. You have to take care of business. Look what Buffalo did against Carolina. I mean, it's a little bit different because they're not as desperate as an 0-7 New York team, but a team that's struggling, that, quarterback's a little bit shaken up, but probably a motivated group they're going against a playoff caliber team. Not saying Cincinnati's a playoff caliber team, but Cincinnati was favored in that game, rightfully so. And you just can't stop anything. Your defense was Swiss cheese all game. And then that second to last drive, for the Cincinnati Bengals, they've been running the ball in the second half for, I'm not even joking, I think it was 8+ yards a carry, if not even more. And so the Jets go down and score. It's a one-possession game. I think they were down 6 points, the Jets. Cincinnati gets the ball back with about 7 minutes left. Run the ball, right? It's pretty obvious. Well, first play, they run a little bubble screen, probably to try and catch the defense off target. I actually don't hate that call. I don't think that's terrible, but it's incomplete. Clock stops. Okay, we have to run the ball on second down here, right? I don't really care if they can't stop it. Prove to me you can stop it. I still think you do it on first down, but at least understand the logic on the first down screenplay. Well, on the second down play, they throw it again. Incomplete. What are you doing? Okay, well, third down, it's third and obvious. I still think you could run the ball because they're not expecting it and they can't stop it. But they throw it again. No time goes off the clock. Your defense is showing they can't stop. They need a little bit of a break. And you just say, get your ass back on defense. And then, of course, they go down and score because we can't stop them. And you, as a head coach, you have to understand that. And what does he do Zac Taylor. He needs to be fired yesterday. And the fact that our defensive coordinator got fired last year and not him shows just how out of touch our GM and our owner are. Because Lou Anarumo, for those who don't know, that was our defensive coordinator, is a great defensive coordinator, but he had no talent. What is he supposed to do? He's doing great. He's the Colts defensive coordinator, for those who don't know. Oh, the Colts have a pretty good defense. And they don't even have the best defense on paper, but they have enough talent where Lou's great defensive mind makes it work. Zac Taylor has been the issue. He doesn't, guys, I'm going to lose my mind with this team. I mean, it is ridiculous how these things just constantly go on and on and on. I will just be rambling all day, but the long and short of it is Zach then went into his press conference and just blamed the defense. He kept saying, someone needs to step up. It's not acceptable. Someone needs to step up. No accountability as a head coach. None of it was his fault. He refused to take any accountability. That's disgusting. Get your ass out of that coaching spot. I have nothing to say nice about Zac Taylor. I think he's a glorified accountant that got blessed. I don't know, maybe nepotism. I don't know what it is, but this week 8 honestly was miserable for me. Teams I don't like are great. My team sucks. But I want to know what you guys think about this week 8 anomaly. It's really not an anomaly. The Bengals always suck. But let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below. And stay tuned to watch your Jerry Keg Bengals fan be in pain for the rest of the season. Peace and love, guys.